So, as I was saying, the objectives of the VMFA are to identify gaps and opportunities and barriers in service to improve service for veterans and military families. We also coordinate information on services for veterans and military families. And we educate these groups and community advocates on community-based efforts and suicide prevention. So I want to first start off by saying thank you to everyone for joining us virtually. Since we usually do these as hybrid events with the weather and school cancellations and everything, I appreciate your flexibility in pivoting to being all virtual. So thank you very much. The wind is already, I'm in North Raleigh, and the wind is really starting to pick up. So hopefully we will be able to maintain connection as we go through this meeting. But what I would like to do first is take a moment to let everyone introduce themselves. If you don't mind, give us your name, what organization you're representing, and your connection to the military if you served or if you have a family member who served. That would be great. So we are going to start. Shelton, I'm going to have you go first.
Good morning, everyone. A lot of familiar faces up here. Hey, Bill. My name is Shelton Faircloth. I'm representing San Diego, California VA Hospital. I am a retired military guy, U.S. Army, 21 years, proud veteran, glad to be here serving. And it's good to see a lot of you familiar faces.
Thanks, Shelton. Dietrich, would you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Dietrich Lamedy. I work for California Employment Development Department. I specifically work with a JVSG, Jobs for Veterans state grant. We try to help veterans improve their job searches. I'm a retired Marine.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Paul?
Good afternoon, depending where you're at. And Shelton, I'm jealous. I have to find a reason to come out to San Diego again. Love it out there. So Paul Berry, did 30 years in the Marine Corps, retired, and I now work with Veterans Bridge Home and do the NC service work. And I'm move around a little bit within the work, but I still stay here. I'm now the Triangle Network Director, but also responsible for provider growth and relationships. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Yesenia, did I say your name right?
Yes, ma'am. That's perfect.
Thank you.
So, hi, everyone. My name is Yesenia Kraft. I representing Hire Heroes USA. We concentrate more on employment services. I am a retired Marine, 24 years, but also my children are in the service. My brother-in-law is in the service. So we're a big military service family. So nice to be here.
Thank you. Elton?
Hi, this is Elton Corbett. I'm representing DAV Chapter 21 in Durham. I'm a 20-year Air Force retired veteran, and spent 17 years hanging out with the Army as an Air Force guy. So I can speak Army.
Thanks, Elton. Bill Dixon?
Bill Dixon, U.S. Army, Vietnam. I'm representing Vets United, and I think still Vietnam Veterans of America, Durham. I see Sam and Brenda on, but right now I'm still representing the VBA, North Carolina.
Awesome.
Even though I'm in Florida. So.
Thanks, Bill. Kristen?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Kristen Darr. I'm the Grant per Diem Liaison at the Durham VA at the homeless program here.
Thanks, Kristen. Carrie?
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. And we have a Generac at our house, so we don't have power, but we have power. So nice to have that. Anyway, I'm 10-year Army veteran paratrooper, and I'm also military caregiver fellow for North Carolina, representing the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. Just in the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina, also on the board, and most recently, excited about this one. I'm an ambassador for the HBOT for Heroes program that is designated to divvy up the funds that our legislature has allocated for hyperbaric oxygen therapy for our veterans with traumatic brain injury or military or first responders.
Fantastic. Thank you. Troy?
Hello, everybody. I'm with the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. I'm a community and veteran liaison, and had a few updates on the HAP program and the SHARP program I think Brooke was asking about a little bit later in the meeting here.
Thank you. Jennifer Melton?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jennifer Melton. I am with the Staff Sergeant Fox Suicide Prevention Grant with Veteran Services of the Carolinas. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Jared?
Hey everybody, I'm Jared. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I represent Hopeway as a veterans and first responder liaison for Hopeway. We are a mental and behavioral health facility, and we have residential, PHP, inpatient as well, to try to treat veterans who are struggling with PTSD and trauma, but also other areas of depression, anxiety, and everything else.
Thanks, Jared. Najla?
Hi, I'm Najla Munshower, and I work with Wake County Veteran Services. And my specific focus is housing assistance. So I work with folks who are struggling with housing instability, whether homeless or on the cusp of losing housing. And I try and get people to where they want to go or keep them where they are.
Thank you. The next person, it says HHHM.
Yes, hi, my name is Alexa McCann. I am from Holly Hill Hospital as well as Bryn Mawr and Old Vineyard Hospitals. I'm the point of contact for all three facilities. So should anyone identify someone in mental health crises experiencing high acuity and think that they might need our services, I can help facilitate that for you. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. LaMonica, are you able to introduce yourself? Yep.
Hi, it's LaMonica. I'm with Women Veteran Support Services. I'm an Air Force vet. I'm here in Durham, and we are experiencing very, very, very bad internet services. I've been cutting in and out all day, so I'm just gonna be on here without the camera because it is not working with it. So hello, everybody, and hope everybody stays safe.
Thanks, LaMonica. Lakeisha?
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I believe this is the first meeting of the new year. So happy New Year to everyone. And I am Lakeisha Brown, and I am currently serving the Durham VA healthcare system as the Community Engagement Partnership Coordinator, and also a proud family members of veterans, and just happy to be a part of this initiative. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Greg, I hope you're not driving.
Yeah, so I pulled off to the side of the road. I'm stopped. I just wanted to stop to introduce myself. My name is Greg Gebhardt. I have the blessing of leading Military Missions in Action. We're a North Carolina founded and focused veterans nonprofit with locations in the Triangle and the Sandhills, and plans to expand here in the near future. But just serve veterans and their families, active duty service members. We've got a bunch of different programs, but yeah, happy to be here, Brooke, and thanks for doing this. Great to see everyone in the new year.
Good to see you. Thank you. Sam and Brenda?
Hi, this is Brenda Brubaker. I'm in Durham with the video coming and going. So Sam and I are both members of Vietnam Veterans of America, and I also stick my nose into anything women veterans.
Love it. Josh?
Hey, good afternoon. I am Josh Dadoff. I am also in Durham, not having the internet problems until now, where I will promptly cut out because I got too bold. But I am representing the Caregiver Support Program, which provides supportive services and resources to informal caregivers, those friend or family members who are caring for a veteran loved one at home, who are enrolled at the Durham VA. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Josh. Jasmine?
Hey, you all. Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say because my internet is doing some tricky things as well. But I'm Jasmine Hockaday. I am the housing specialist for the Durham VA homeless program.
Thank you. Randy?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Randy Silver. I am a Army veteran. I'm with NC Works. I provide employment resources for veterans that I now cover down in Johnston and Wilson counties. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Elisa?
Hi, everyone. I'm Elisa Weatherby. I'm a school certifying official for NC State, and I work closely with our Military and Veteran Services Department, where we serve the military affiliated community and their families.
Thank you for joining us. Anne?
Hey, good afternoon. Ann Gasparini. I'm with Stop Soldier Suicide. I am a former spouse, mother, daughter, sibling of pretty much all the services, but Marine Corps has my heart. I am in Franklin County. Wind is gusting, internet is iffy, so I apologize, no camera, but so happy to be here and see so many people.
Thank you. Julie?
There, my name's Julie Tweed. I'm also with Stop Soldier Suicide /Roger. And in my department, we help connect veterans to resources across our nation.
Thank you. Siobhan?
Hey y'all. Sorry, technology's not my friend today. Siobhan Norris. Hi everyone. So many friends. I have to give a quick shout out though to Jared. He is my former student veteran when we worked at UNCW together. Super proud to see this coming full circle. I am the division director for Wake County's Veteran Services. Proud Army veteran, come from a long line of military, and did some time in nonprofit, higher ed, and now working for the county. So if you know that needs help with anything, send them our way.
Thank you. Andy?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Andy Zinkovich, 5-year Army veteran. I represent Humana and cover North Carolina and Virginia for my territory.
Thanks, Andy. Laura? Let's see. Laura, are you able to introduce yourself? Maybe drop it in the chat. We can't hear you, so she might be having internet trouble. Oh, yeah. Okay. Did I miss anyone? I just want to make sure everyone had a chance to introduce themselves. If I missed you, please raise your hand. Feel free to put all your information in the chat. At the end of the call, or the end of this meeting, we will post the video online on our YouTube channel, and I will send a follow-up email out with all the information. So today's topic, I feel like we just had it because the year has flown by so fast, is veteran housing. But I think that it's important to revisit this topic and all the topics that we talk about every year, because there's changes, things improve, things don't improve. So it's good to just have the conversation again. Our panelists today, we have several people here to talk about housing. It's such an important topic, and I will be mentioning there was an article that I shared with our panelists about how veteran homelessness is on the rise. So we'll get more into that, but I would like for our panelists to explain their role within their organization so we can have a better idea of how they serve veterans. So I'm going to start with Troy. Do you mind going first?
Not at all. That sounds good. So the very short version of what it is we do is that we're a self-supporting public agency. Our mission is to provide safe, affordable housing opportunities to enhance the quality of life of North Carolinians. I've got 2 programs in particular that I was hoping to chat with you a little bit about, to just kind of give you updates on. Some of you know about both of them. Some of you might only know about one, as one is relatively a new program that was stood up. But I know Brooke sent me a message asking about the funding total. I'm assuming this is the program she's meaning. But let me start with the one that's ended first, our HAP program. It's the Homeowners Assistance Fund. The program has officially ended as far as taking new applications as of November 2023. The very short version here is that we are still assisting a little over 1,000 applications that were in the pipeline at the time that we stopped taking new applications, and we'll continue to assist and process those applications through. Households assisted to date is 17,129. Of those, for this group, active duty military, there were 313, and veteran identified as 2,640. So for the total served and those two different numbers, it's about almost 16%, which is great. That's a little bit above average for what our veteran population is in the state. So we're proud of that one. Total funds obligated to date are almost 234.5 million. And total dispersed is a little over 230,000 or 230 million so far. And one thing we're particularly proud of with this program is that we have awarded applications in all 100 counties. So we've been able to reach all the way across the state for it. The next program is the SHARP program. This is a relatively new one. It does come from Home American Rescue Plan funds. It was a one-time supplemental appropriation towards supportive housing. It was roughly 43 million that has currently been awarded. It took us a few minutes to stand up the program. A lot of people thought this was a tangent or variation of the home funding, when in actuality, while it is home program funding through the American Rescue Plan, it is a whole new program due to how it was set to be targeted. So we put the plan in place, put public hearings in. The repeated public impact was the lack of resources in rural North Carolina. So we wanted to make sure we were addressing that. We have gone through and we have looked at the major entitlement counties, the 5 major ones being Wake, Cumberland, Durham, and Mecklenburg County, and Guilford County. There are several other cities that are also entitlement cities, not on that list, but they also received their own ARPA funding. And my apologies, you're about to hear and see my daughter, who is home from school today with this weather. So I'm going to introduce her very briefly. Can you come say hello? There you go. Come say hello. Say hi. Say, oh, hide and be shy. Can I help you in just 1 second while Daddy talks with my friends? Yes. Okay. Thank you for telling me. I'll go check it out. All right, go ahead. I'll go check it out. For those that missed the report is that there's a monster in my closet. She was kindly telling me so that I can go take care of that. My apologies for the interruption.
No worries.
So where I was at was the entitlement counties and cities have received their own home ARPA funding. So we have done our best to spread out into the remaining areas of the state that did not receive funding.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. The flyover of it is that the program is set up for 4 categories. Specifically, it's a special carve out, not necessarily for vets, but vets apply to each category for those homeless, at risk of homeless, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, or other at-risk populations. The one big difference with this program is that the developments that have applied and are in the process of being awarded are eligible for what is in actuality a robust savings account or a rainy day fund, to put it in another way. And that is essentially a loan that goes to the property to offset any losses that might come in making sure that the households, the apartments or otherwise, continue to serve extremely low incomes. We're looking at 30% AMI or below. We had 2 different options to look at in order to do this with this particular item. We chose the longer of the 2. The first was to equate this money into vouchers. And that would have given a 5-year time spread for keeping items affordable, and it would have been on an individual basis. We chose to do this this robust savings account, rainy day fund, as a loan to the developments that are being awarded, and that'll have a 15-year time spread of affordability for the entire development as needed, instead of just as individuals as they apply. So we did have 12 total deals that are going to be awarded. One was for a non-congregate shelter, and the other was for supportive housing rental. And the vast array of those 12 deals covers 12 different counties. It's New Hanover, Robeson, Avery, Rowan, Alamance, Scotland, Guilford, Onslow, Cumberland, Person, Richmond, and Lee. The only other item that I was going to chat with you about directly was the General Assembly appropriated $5 million for fiscal year 24 and another $5 million for fiscal year 2025. This is a 2-time supportive housing award for homeless veterans through the state's Housing Trust Fund. And we are currently in the planning stages of how to deploy those funds and meeting with stakeholders. 2 of the major stakeholders are VASH coordinators of North Carolina and the members of the General Assembly that were responsible for the appropriation to see what they envisioned with it, so we can make sure we're being consistent with the original goals of why it was appropriated. Apologize for the length on that, but I know there were a lot of questions on the SHARP program and the $5 million funding that came up. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to address them either at some point during this meeting or offline. You guys, most of you know how to reach me. If not, you can always reach out to Brooke, who does not reach me.
Thanks, Troy. And if you have any flyers or links or anything with this information, if you could either drop it in the chat or email it to me, either way would be great, so we can share the details.
Sure. So the HAF Fund has a public dashboard that keeps things updated. It can tell you, how the funding is coming out and how many households served and all that. That's just a quick Google. Is easy to do. And the other two, because we're at the tail end of standing up the SHARP program, at the very, very beginning of standing up the $5 million from the General Assembly or $10 million for both years. So we don't have any links or anything on those programs just yet.
Okay. Just keep us updated. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Kristen, I'm going to put you on the spot next. Do you mind talking about your role within HUD-VASH?
Yeah, sure. My camera is now being weird also where I'm outside. I apologize. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
Yes, you're good.
So I am currently in the Durham VA homeless program. I'm just one small little entity of the homeless program. We're a very complex and diverse program. I can kind of go through the different type of social workers and programs we have on our team with a specific focus on HUD-VASH, because that is our biggest one. Currently, we do have a coordinated entry specialist, 2 veteran justice outreach social workers who go into the jail and prisons and talk to the veterans there. We have quite a few outreach social workers who go out to the shelters and into the community to make contact with veterans. We have GPD, which is me, which is grant per diem. Currently, we only have 1 grant per diem site, which is TROSA. We also have contract residential services, which is another transitional house that is currently USA Veterans Help. We have an employment specialist on our team, an SUD specialist, 2 occupational therapists, a nurse, and a nurse practitioner. So that kind of encompasses a lot of the different people that we have on our team. But I would say our main program is HUD-VASH. And just to give a short summary, and I can go into more detail if anyone needs it. Basically what HUD-VASH is, it is a partnership between our local housing authorities and the VA, in which the veteran gets a housing voucher. Similar to Section 8, the major difference is that the HUD-VASH case managers on the team will provide case management to the veteran during the whole process. So we kind of have different teams that help with the different processes of getting the voucher. We have an intake team who helps with the application, getting all the supporting documents, because those are often The veterans don't have them because they're homeless, they've lost their ID, they've lost their social security card, everything like that. So we help them obtain all of those. We have a housing team, specifically a housing specialist who's also on this call, Miss Jasmine, who helps the veterans locate housing in whatever county that they prefer and they got their voucher in. They help them complete the housing applications. They take them to view the units. They advocate if a landlord is trying to deny them because of, you know, past like criminal history or evictions. We try to advocate and get past those barriers. And then we have a kind of a maintenance stabilization team that will stay with the veteran until, you know, they are able to maintain their housing on their own. They've done it consistently. They're not falling behind. They've reached their other goals, whatever those may be, whether it's employment, SUD treatment, going back to school, getting them VA service connected, whatever goals they have. And once they've attained all those goals and can maintain their housing, we do have a graduation stage where they still have a case manager, but they kind of are like, we let them, you know, handle it themselves, and we're there if something were to occur. So the goal is to get everybody to graduation. We do have a nice little graduation ceremony. So that is nice. But that's kind of a small breakdown of HUD-VASH. There's more complexity to it, but I can answer any specific questions anyone may have later.
Thanks, Kristen. Really quick, how long is there a typical time frame to graduation stage?
So it's dependent on the veteran. Some veterans don't even graduate because they just need the consistent case management. So it's all dependent on what their needs are, what their goals are, what they have going on as far as mental health diagnoses, SUD treatment, all of those things. It's really dependent on the veteran. In a perfect case scenario, I would say a year, but we don't see that too often.
Okay. LaMonica just asked if HUD-VASH is accepting applicants.
They are, yes. So we currently have an applicant pool. So if a veteran is interested in HUD-VASH, what I would suggest is that he or she comes to our walk-in clinic, and I can put those hours in the chat of our homeless program walk-in clinic and the phone number if a veteran's not able to make it to the Durham VA or doesn't live in Durham. That way they can be screened. There is a criteria that we kind of look at to see if they'd be eligible for HUD-VASH. And then there's some assessments that we complete to kind of rate them of where they'd go on the applicant pool, because we do it based off of needs and their chronicity. So it's not like if I showed up and then Brooke showed up right after me, I would be ahead of her. It's dependent on what the veteran's needs are of how we have that applicant pool rated.
Okay.
And I can put that in the chat, the walk-in clinic information.
Perfect. Thank you. Najla, would you mind talking about your role within Wake County Veteran Services and how veterans access your services that you provide?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Wake County Veteran Services is a little different among other services insofar as if you have a piece of paper that affiliates you with the veteran community, we work with you. So if you don't meet the VA healthcare, it doesn't matter, we'll still help you. If you haven't had any active duty time, it doesn't matter, we'll still help you. If you had 10 days on and you were let go for reasons beyond your control, it doesn't matter, we will help you. So we're kind of a catch-all and coordination point for a lot of other services. So we work very closely with our friends at the VA to help folks that are eligible get headed that way. We work very closely with our friends at the SSVF programs to help coordinate folks that are eligible for SSVF through that way. We have worked with Guard and Reserve programs. We've worked with Veterans Bridge. And we end up with folks that aren't eligible for any veteran programming, and we assist them through navigation and vouchering and healthcare through our local programs as well.
Thank you.
Gladly.
So one thing, our final panelist was unable to get online because of the internet connection. But it was Trevor Logsden with TROSA. And I know they have housing for homeless veterans, for homeless people in general. I know they have a veterans program. Kristen, you had mentioned them. Are you able to speak a little bit about what TROSA does? If you do not have to, if you don't feel comfortable. But I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, sure. So I actually am the social worker that works with them. So they are linked with us as far as veterans who have SUD issues. So it's a 2-year program where they provide everything. Honestly, it reminds me of I don't know if anybody's ever been out there, had a tour of TROSA, but it reminds me of a mini college campus kind of. So they house the veterans, they provide food, 3 meals a day plus snacks to the veterans. They have mental health treatment there. They have obviously SUD treatment because that's the whole point of the program. They provide them with employment and training skills. That way, once they graduate the program and they come back out, they have these skills to go get a job. They are linked with the VA, which is me. So if the veterans have any issues like with healthcare or getting VA service connected, we actually have a VBA representative, Mr. Jonathan Crooms. He comes out with me at our monthly meetings and helps the TROSA veterans get VA service connected, which is it's great. A lot of them sometimes aren't eligible for VA healthcare, and then we can get them service connected and then they are eligible. So that opens up a big opportunity for them. So that's just a little bit of kind of what they do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I will, when I send out the email, I'll include a link to their website. We've done some work with them in Durham when we do our resource fair, and they have a lot of veterans who come out and work the event with traffic and setup and breakdown, and just an amazing group of people that we have met. So I'm bummed that Trevor couldn't get logged in because of the weather, but we'll have him on in the future. So I kind of hinted at this article at the beginning of our meeting, and this article was forwarded to me recently, and I will mention that it's an opinion article, but it does talk about how the veteran homelessness numbers are on the rise. And just the nature of how the Joel Fund works, because we do have this resource connection program, we have a lot of veterans who have been reaching out to us for financial assistance or assistance with housing, much more than normal over the last month. And so one of the things that we're seeing, and so I apologize in advance for not really understanding how all of this works, and anyone in this meeting who can answer this question, please do. But what I'm hearing is, okay, well, my 9 months is running out, so now I have to find another living arrangement, or I didn't get, these are actual examples. I didn't get my rent didn't go through the last 2 months, so now I need financial assistance. And rent meaning from the organization that was helping them with the federal funding. And things like that. So I'm just trying to get a feel for the organizations that work with homeless veterans. What is going on? What are you seeing? Was there a time limit on some of this funding? I don't know who wants to go first. Speak up. But the article was in Newsweek. And I can link it in the chat for anyone who wants to look at it while we're talking.
I'll go first.
Go for it.
I've seen the same things. A lot of the clients that we actually put through a couple of the SSVF programs started calling probably about October, and they were going, wait, I'm still in my 6 or my 9 months and my rent isn't being paid. So we were raising all alarm bells and trying to figure out things. And it's just, I can't speak to what's happening, but I know turnover rates in the areas where we have to work with folks are, they're extremely high. Not sure what that's about, but that's just kind of the way it is. One of the flagship programs two of the people, one left Friday and one left on Monday. And we're just kind of scratching our heads with the folks at the VA going, who do we call now? It's like a one-leg man in a butt kicking contest right now for us. And we're just trying to figure it out. A lot of the situations that are happening for us are folks fleeing domestic violence. And we're trying to work along with the family justice centers to have folks who are able to, if they get their information, such as their IDs or anything, trying to get folks to work with them. Oftentimes, abusers or folks who are the assailants, they're not allowing folks to get their information or the baby's information. So we're kind of just in a limbo, trying to figure all that out. So I will say the ending of this year and the beginning of this year, and today's just the 9th, I feel like we're in 90 days. So if anybody has any type of, hey, let's work to do this, I'm here to listen and try to figure it out alongside you. Our population is a lot of women veterans with children, but the biggest population we see are single homeless female veterans and male veterans with young children. So that's what we have.
Shelton, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, I have a question actually for the panel. And I know this is going to raise a lot of eyebrows. Barriers. When I was there, I know that there was a lot of barriers trying to help veterans find shelter or homes, if you will. If I recall, some of the barriers were finding like 2-bedroom or even 1-bedroom apartments that were available. I know that those barriers are probably still there as the number of shelters have diminished, especially with the rising cost of housings with the 6% interest rates, and other people now are seeking out other ways of finding homes. So with these barriers that are there in place, why haven't we as organizations that are here to help veterans try to find alternative ways, such as, hear me out, tiny home locations, or bringing all of our resources together to find some type of investor that can build homes or apartments, particularly for the homeless. You know, I just heard Troy talk about $234 million invested in helping veterans to keep those that are having issues that are within their homes. $234 million could also be generated to maybe build duplexes, get together some tiny home plots, those type things. Why are we so much concentrated on trying to find homes that are already existing rather than finding areas that we can build and create our own? Just a question. Reason I asked this question, here in San Diego, we noticed that there has been a 7% increase in homeless veterans alone. Yes, this is one of the most expensive part of the country. So homes really are very, very limited, and housing even is very limited. But, you know, I know how North Carolina is diverse. North Carolina has a lot of land. And why is this something that we as organizations working together have not considered?
Najla, I'll come back to you in just a second. And Shelton, just in my own research, because of what we're doing at the Joel Fund, and Paul just said it's very slow. Every county or town has their own rules. I know some are not open to tiny homes. So that's hard also. Paul did share with me a recent article, and here's like where some organizations are getting creative. This is 3 Triangle hotels will be transformed into multifamily living. And so this is going, I think there's going to be 2 in Durham and 1 in Raleigh, and the average rent per unit will be around $1,000. So there are some, you know, bigger organizations out there that are trying to get creative in how we do that. So I just wanted to mention that, but I'm gonna let Najla go next. So go ahead.
So the answer is those things are being tried. And Brooke articulated a little bit. When we work in the veterans community, we have the opportunity to have access to a ton of resources that nobody else in the United States has access to. So veterans have better resources than almost anybody else. And we're seeing rises everywhere that, and by that I mean in the United States, that don't mimic those of the non-veteran populations, but in some places they're pretty close. Zoning is a problem. The ways that the laws have been written, not just in North Carolina, because I've also worked with housing in Florida and Washington State and Kentucky and New York. The zoning rules are written to keep multi-family dwellings to a small amount. So that gives the heave-ho to any tiny home properties. We have a lot of folks in our area that are interested in helping, in particular with tiny home communities. So there's consistent conversation and consistent interaction about the options, but logistically, some things have to change in order for us to be able to do this. But one of the things that I ask for folks to keep in mind is the problems that are arising with the veterans community aren't specific to the veterans community. Post-COVID, during COVID, we had a ton of allowances that helped folks stay in their homes. So in some places post-COVID, we've seen evictions go up 435%. That's absolutely untenable, whether you're a veteran or not a veteran. So the things that are happening in our veterans community are a reflection of the lack of housing in the United States. For the last 40 years in the United States, we have not built enough housing to accommodate the number of bodies that need to be housed. So even as we have created new places, it's been about a third the rate it needed to be in order to house the folks that are already here. And if you look at the numbers, we're going to have 100% increase and a couple 100% increase in the number of women veterans in the next 10 years. So the logistics of who went into the military and how people are exiting the military are also part of putting strain on the programming that we have. All of this also relates to access and ability to get healthcare. I have a handful of veterans that I work with, and I know there are dozens, if not multiple dozens, of folks that are trying to work with HUD-VASH because they need those supportive services. But logistically, we don't have places where people who have memory trouble can go for help. There just aren't the places that support that kind of need in Raleigh, in Durham, in the United States. We have a population of veterans that are aging, that are unable to do what it takes to maintain housing. They can't keep track of their finances. They have instability with highs and lows in blood sugars and need to be hospitalized. And after they're hospitalized, if they don't have things on automatic payments, payments fall behind and they get evicted because of an illness. And our system in general is unprepared for this kind of help. And God bless the folks at the VA trying to run and catch up and help. But logistically, the problem is these are problems that everyone has. And as the United States looks at our aging population of folks, we don't have enough places to house them, and we don't have enough support when they need support. So the conversations that we've been having with the VA for a decade are 15 years ahead of where the rest of the population is. And that's absolutely the most terrifying part of this conversation to me, because I can name 5 folks who need that supportive housing right this minute. And I know that the folks I'm working with at the VA have 15 or 20 that they could tell you they could house with supportive housing tomorrow, but they need the assistance. So I think the questions are being asked, and I think that folks are looking at things differently, but the logistics are, we have to help folks who make the rules understand better what our folks need and the kind of help that they need in the long term. And that's not a conversation that a lot of politicians are able and willing to have, because logistically it's expensive and it's a long-term solution to a long-term problem. So we have to shift the conversation into kind of two pieces, I think. What do we do to put a Band-Aid on the folks that need immediate assistance? And the VA is throwing money at that like a crazy person. They've doubled the SSVF funding. They've raised the amount. People who make 80% AMI, so that's I mean, well above poverty levels, are now eligible for the SSVF program. And that's because folks who are in the 80% AMI in places like out in California, they can't afford the housing in the area where they are. So that the VA looked at that and the VA said, oh my gosh, we have people that should statistically be able to maintain their housing and they're not doing it. So the VA is doing, I think, a better job than anybody else at trying to look at practical solutions to these problems. So I think that articulating that the VA is looking at these problems and making a plan to deal with them and what those positive outcomes are is very important to this conversation in the long term, because you know what we need? More of that.
Yeah, thank you.
She says with love, sorry.
You're good.
No, I love it. I love it because it's like she said, as long as we continue the conversation, more people will listen.
Yeah.
And that is very vital. This isn't just an isolated conversation that we just had one time and it's done. And I agree with you. You know, the more conversations we have, the bigger platforms we have these conversations, the more people listen, the more people see the data. You know, that's when those changes may start to occur. So I 100% agree with you.
Thank you. Bill?
Got two things. One, when we're talking about the small houses, zoning is a big problem. And don't know what, well, and it's like the city of Raleigh fought for years against being able to put an in-law apartment on the back of someone's home. So getting many houses, and then here in North Carolina we have the problem with sewage, septic systems, or the municipality running out water and sewer lines. The cost, how far are you gonna have to go out to build a facility? And if it's on the septic system, because there's no water and sewer out there, you run into problems on how many can you hook up to a septic system. So those are all challenges we've got. But we're talking about homeless for veterans. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but the state of North Carolina is closing the Kinston. I think it's either Kinston or Fayetteville. Excuse me for my old age memory here, but they're closing the nursing home in either Kinston or Fayetteville. Those veterans who are in the nursing home will be out on the streets unless their loved ones can find them someplace. And we're talking about homeless and what the state wants to do. And here they are making a whole group of them homeless by closing the facility.
Jennifer said it was Fayetteville.
Fayetteville. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So the state, on one hand, says we want to help homelessness, and on the other hand, they turn around and make homelessness.
Hey, Brooke.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
On that, Bill, thanks for that. Yeah, the Fayetteville one was just deemed by the inspectors unsafe structurally. There was some issues that they could not do it, and it came quick because of inspection. Most of those veterans, I don't know a number, have been relocated to the new one in Kernersville, but it created a bigger problem too, Bill, because it was supposed to be just for those veterans in that area of the state. So it reduced capacity around Winston-Salem and Greensboro and all that too. So yeah, it's a thing, and it's really, really expensive. And it's going to take a long time to build another home in Fayetteville, because I think they're going to have to demolish on site and then rebuild. So I know I saw Secretary Gaskins recently, and he's very frustrated and trying to get some federal funding quicker, to solve that.
Well, it took them 3 years to open Kernersville after they got it built.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's we're going to have to find alternative, different ways to do this.
LaMonica, I see you have your hand raised.
I just wanted to state something else that Najla said that I just wanted to reiterate. A lot of the issues that we're seeing currently are and have seen historically are folks who are exiting military service, but their exit on their form DD-214 or however they've exited service, they've got to the end of the brief and they just want to, what we used to say, pencil whip out. And there wasn't accurate checks and balances, and folks are leaving without benefits that are supposed to be there for them, not being identified, and they're just being released. There are so many times we've had to work backwards to make sure folks who are exiting service are we're redoing DD-214s. We're working through with folks through the state legislature, trying to figure out how we fix this. And part of what Najla said is there are folks who get out, but their DD-214s are incorrectly slated with what they were supposed to have at the time of being able to leave service. And that's a disservice, because what happens at that point starts this whole entire chain of issues. So, and I just wanted to piggyback on her saying that in itself is another issue.
I know we have people who are hopping off because of time and that sort of thing. I do want to just, we can continue talking if there's people who have a few more minutes. But what I'd like to we do have a couple of our panelists still on here. So what I would like to just ask you is, is there anything that you would like to share with these partners who are on the phone and how we can continue to help? Or is there anything, do you have a specific ask of us to help in this space? Kristen, Siobhan, Najla, Troy?
I'll go ahead. I don't think it's really a particular ask necessarily, but just kind of furthering the conversation as Shelton said earlier. One of probably the biggest cause of the rising homelessness is the pandemic. We were already oversubscribed, which I'm sure everybody realized, on resources and funding before that. And with that came, the holds on, hey, we're not going to let you go homeless. And then all of a sudden, okay, those holds are gone. Rents are increasing. Renters are decoupling. They're moving back in with their parents and someone gets left out. All of these different things that are happening. One of the things that we've been seeing is folks recognizing that one of the biggest games in town as far as providing affordable, safe, new apartment rentals is the LIHTC program. And a lot of cities and municipalities and counties and so forth, nonprofits, all the way down the line, have been finding ways to add their financial voice to those developments. A developer will come in and say, here's what we're looking to do. Here's all the public hearings. We're listening to the feedback, all of those good things that they're required to do, and make sure that everybody understands, what would be happening. But the fact is, construction costs have risen. Everything has gone up. But in order to make those places realistically look, taste, smell, touch, feel like market rate, but be affordable instead of market rate prices, it just takes so many more hands in order to make that happen. So the only kind of thought to further the conversation is, if you all are tied in with local governments, state governments, anything like that, is just kind of helping to leverage funding to go further. Many hands making light work, so to speak, in that financial realm.
Thanks, Troy. That's good.
I think those are all excellent points. And I think a salient thing is we have to remember that the charge is ending homelessness, not ending veteran homelessness, because a lot of our veterans, by way of discharge difficulty or post-military life difficulty, don't identify as veterans or don't meet the qualifications to get back up through the VA. So really, we have to recognize that there's a whole group of folks, and we have to help with housing affordability and housing access for everybody. And then by default, we help our veterans. Because if we're not paying attention to the needs of the community at large, we're automatically leaving some veterans out of the planning.
Very true. Does anyone have anything like they'd like to add? I mean, I know we could go on in this. I say this every time we have this conversation on veteran housing. We could go on and on, but we do have to cut it off. But I think what I may even try to do is find something within housing to concentrate on next time. Instead of, I'll have to put my thinking cap on. If anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. But if you have any announcements that you'd like to make, now would be the time. If you have to hop and you have something you want to share with the group, you can put it in the chat or email it to me and I'll include it in the follow-up email. But does anyone have an announcement they'd like to make?
Yeah, I do real quick. Just to say that thanks to all of you, we have started a Veterans Coffee here in San Diego, VA, which is where I met Dietrich. And it is because of organizations like this that we're still continuing our conversation on helping veterans.
Awesome. I love that. That's fantastic. And anytime now, I know it would be a little too early for you to call into one of our coffees. 8:30 our time. You probably don't want to have to roll out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, or no, it's even later that, right? Is it 4 hours? Yeah. 3. Okay. 3. So I see, I don't even know the time change, but I appreciate you all joining us from California and from Florida and everywhere else. But if you have anything you want me to share with the group, send it my way. And next month we meet on February 13th. And our topic of discussion will be veteran education. So I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and stay dry, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Brooke, thank you again for having us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to share what we're doing. I love that you think it's good enough to share to California.
Absolutely. And when I spoke with Dietrich, it was like, you need to just listen to some of the conversations that we have, and you will see how, we come together and collaborate, because they don't hear, or I shouldn't say they don't. It's not as big as North Carolina yet. And so, we have some work to do. And, it's about finding those people that are willing to work. And so, as you know, the mission didn't stop just because I left. So, I'm still going to be here to help and find out information and see what we can do and how we can grow. So, thank you for letting me ear hustle on you guys.
I love it. Anytime you